I'm James Yoder from the Michigan Football Report. We've got our Michigan football pre-Christmas Q&A. Your questions answered by me. We've got some questions already queued up, so we're going to jump into it here to get the show rolling. We've got a question coming in from Nate Kingston. He says, if Michigan wins, that'll stun. Will that stun Bama team? Okay, cool. So he threw me off with the capital A there. I'm like, what's he saying there? Oh, yeah, I think Alabama will be stunned for sure. I don't think their media, I don't think their fans, I don't think their players think they're losing to Michigan. A Michigan team they've seen lose twice on the road this year and kind of get blown out in 2 games. I know they, on the surface maybe, not even the surface. The Ohio State game, although close in the first half, was a blowout, and certainly the Wisconsin game, although Michigan showed a little life in the second half, they were down, more than 4 touchdowns in the first half. So there's the matchup there. Certainly Alabama's media, Alabama's fans, Alabama's players expect to win. And I think it'll be a stunning, outcome all around college football if Alabama loses 3 games, which, as crazy as that sounds, they don't do that often. Only one time have they lost 3 games since Nick Saban's first year on campus there. So he came in 2007, and right out of the gate, 2008, they went undefeated in the regular season, lost to Florida in the SEC title game. The last time they were in a non-New Year's 6 BCS bowl game, folks, was 2010 season, 9 years ago, against Michigan State, a 2-loss Michigan State team that was ranked in the top 10, 12 in the country. They beat them 49-3. So sometimes these teams don't always take bowl games seriously if they're not going for a title, but I haven't seen that necessarily out of Alabama as much as you might think when they've been playing for national titles. So Trey Stone King, my man, my boy, thanks for the continued support, Trey. How many players do you expect to return for a 5th year? And this is a pretty good question because you're seeing things out there about, one, Josh Uche, who knew he could come back for a 5th year after he accepted a Senior Bowl invite a month ago, and then they made an announcement that he was going to go early to the NFL. Didn't make a lot of sense to me necessarily, but what the heck do I know? So not a ton of options on this team, although I think the remaining players, outside of what Nick Eubanks does, there could be some good news in here. So you've got Eubanks, you've got Carlo Kemp, you've got Michael Dwumfor. Not really any other options there. Michael Onwenu played in too many games as a freshman in 2016 to get a 5th year. So I don't think there's any chance out there that he could come back. But Michael Dwumfor, Carlo Kemp, we weren't sure. They were listed as seniors. Didn't really seem like they were coming back. But from everything I'm hearing in the last week and a half, is that both those guys are pushing for a redshirt year in 2016. One of them, I think it's Dwumfor, played later in the season than normally accepted back in the old rules of where you can still kind of fake an injury. And you might see Michael Dwumfor, Carlo Kemp come back for next season. In my opinion, if that happens, Michigan's defensive line gets a big-time bolster. If they return basically the entire defensive line, you've got Mozzie Smith, outside of Michael Dana, but you've got Mozzie Smith, Chris Hinton coming in, and some other younger players that can make an impact throughout the 2020 season and beyond. Question coming in from Lewis Pop. Make sure you're using hashtag Michigan. Pops you up to the top of the queue here live on YouTube. Will Shea throw for 400 yards against Alabama in this game? Never done in his career at Michigan. We could show those stats in the last 3 games if we want, where he's kind of toyed with 400 yards, but hasn't got over the hump. So I'm going to say no. But if Michigan has some success early on and they make adjustments in the second half like they did not against Ohio State, Ohio State came out with a terrific defensive game plan. And look, Shea was on fire. Shea was out of control in the first half, 250 yards against an Ohio State defense that's ranked number 1 in the country. Second half, threw for like 60 yards on like 3 completions or whatever it was. It's not even worth talking about because it was so embarrassing. But he certainly could. Michigan seems to be motivated to win this game. Jim Harbaugh knows what's on the line for just the overall perception of the program. So don't expect Michigan to hold much back in this game. If you want to get going and bet on the game, which I'm going to, you guys have watched the show recently, I'm flip-flopping. First I was Alabama was going to kill Michigan. Then I'm like, I don't trust this Mac Jones at Alabama. I put some money on the Wolverines. So I got a lot of internal arguments going on with myself of what's going to happen in this game. But don't let me stop you from joining BetDSI, chatsports.com/bet promo code GoBlue, get you a 120% deposit bonus. When we make our bets here at Chat Sports, we do it with BetDSI. Encourage you to do so as well and take advantage of that promo code. More than double your money sitting there in your account when you make your first deposit. So get going with them, chatsports.com/bet. You guys are using hashtag Michigan to get your questions live on the show. We might need to go to a weigh-in or something at some point here, Alicia, get the questions going and predict the score or something, because I'm just not seeing the love in the comment section. You guys are great on the VOD videos. You're always responding in tons of comments. This show has some of the best amount of comments per viewers of all the shows here at Chat Sports. But the live ones, you're not coming with it. They're snickering back there in the live studio audience that we've only got a few questions coming in every minute. But I'll take this question. Love is black. Why won't Harbaugh hire coaches who are known for developing top-tier players? I mean, aren't the coaches he's hiring known for developing top-tier players? Josh Gaddis came in and revamped the Alabama passing scheme in 2018, turned Tua into the Heisman favorite the entire year, except the last couple games where he got injured and ended up losing the Heisman. The Biletnikoff Award winner, Jerry Jeudy, was on their staff. They've got one of the best wide receiving corps in history that he trained and molded last year's sophomores and true freshmen, some of them. And Ed Warner, known as one of the best offensive linemen in the country, one of co-offensive coordinator for Ohio State when they won the national title in 2014. Had Jim McElwain, who was a national championship offensive coordinator, former head coach at Florida, as the wide receivers coach a year ago. So I think Jim Harbaugh has certainly gone after high-level coaches, expensive coaches that our schools want. It has not been enough to beat Ohio State. That's kind of frankly what it is. If you take Ohio State off the schedule, they just don't exist. You replace them with Nebraska or something like that as another Big Ten team. And Jim Harbaugh's entire tenure is a lot different. You could have made playoff 3 out of 5 years, won the Big Ten. But until you get over Ohio State, a lot of questions like this from Love is Black are going to be answered. But now I want to get the questions going. Need to know from you guys, predict the score, Michigan, Alabama. I want to know what you guys think on this game. So let's get some predictions. Type them in the comments. I just want to see where your mindset is going into this game. We're well over a week out. What do we got? 10, 11 days until this game gets going. A week from Wednesday, January 1st. Predict the score. And if you want to add some commentary, no harm, no foul. Michael Harris says, I think special teams will win it for us. And that's certainly a good take. So answer the question, or put your predictions in the comments below. Want to see what you guys think on this game. Michigan, Alabama, Citrus Bowl, January 1st. Keep it rolling with questions using hashtag Michigan. Eric Lloyd coming in. Thanks for the question, Eric, on Instagram. Also, Eric's a great follow on Twitter if you want to go give him a follow on Twitter. Who is leaving early other than you, Shea? Well, very quiet around the Michigan football program. There's 3 players on offense who could potentially leave early for the NFL. Nico Collins, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Cesar Ruiz. If I was a gambling man at this point, I would put money that 2 of the 3 leave. And it's tough to speculate which of the 2. It just seems that they're all leaning towards leaving, but one of them probably come to his senses. None of them are first-round picks, so they're leaving a lot of money on the table if they were to potentially come back and have a great senior season in 2020. So those 3 players. On the defensive side of the ball, not really anybody who's much of a candidate. The guys who came back last year, Josh Metellus, Khaleke Hudson, Lavert Hill, all are now seniors. And then there's a jump off. The defensive lineman we mentioned, Carlo Kemp, Michael Dwumfor, don't necessarily have the NFL grade to warrant leaving early. Kwity Paye has mentioned it, but I still think he'll come back. So I think 2 players from offense will leave to the NFL draft. And you never know. You might get a transfer, might even get a transfer like Tariq Black. That doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense, but there must have been something else going on there that we've hinted at for a long time on this show. Next question coming up from Kevin Ritter. Any Heisman candidates on the Michigan team next year? I don't really think so, because wide receivers don't make Heisman candidates these days in college football. Just if they're having a great year, the credit goes usually to the quarterback. But be interested to see what Michigan does in the second year under Gaddis. If you take the last 4 or 5 weeks and extrapolate that and put that over an entire season, you could have had Shea Patterson could have potentially been mentioned, but not enough winning, not enough big time games in the moments to get on there. So I don't necessarily think so. The only one that could potentially develop as a Heisman candidate next year would be the guy who gets a starting quarterback and he comes out of the gate playing like Shea Patterson's played the last 4 or 5 games, specifically the last 3 weeks, minus that second half versus Ohio State. You get Dylan McCaffrey or Joe Milton coming out throwing for 300 yards a game, averaging 3 or 4 touchdowns out of the gate, then certainly they become Heisman Trophy candidates right out of the gate. So not going to be a skill position player as far as I can tell, and the carries on offense from a running back perspective will likely be split up with no one getting enough carries to warrant Heisman consideration. Make sure you guys are getting family and gift-giving Heisman consideration by going to our website right there, chatsports.com/blue1, to get this Michigan football jacket 50% off. It's a hell of a deal. It's like $32, folks. $65 normal jacket, $32.50 for that one. Or the one I bought just this past couple days ago, the Michigan football coaches game day shirt, the one you've seen Harbaugh wear several years throughout the last few. 30% off. It's normally $70, under $50. Chatsports.com/Michigan6 is the URL. Chatsports.com/Michigan6. All of these sale items, hats, jerseys, Michigan shoes, still $30 off. T-shirts, slippers, all kinds of Michigan gear, up to 50% off. The good stuff's not all 50% off, but some of it is. T-shirts for as cheap as $12. Chatsports.com/blue.